Hello, hello, hello. This is Jessica again with episode 2 of Getting My Shit Together. I am doing my second episode. The last week we just did a small introduction into me and who I am and my little bout of history facts. Right now I am sitting in my new apartment. Ooh. Just trying to get some things done. I've got some things to get off my chest today, so this kind of is a perfect timing anyway. I know I already promised to do a weekly video, so let's just go ahead and get into it immediately so that we don't have to do this awkward shit other than, look at this huge pimple on my forehead. Let's pretend like that's not there, okay? Anyway, so I want to start at the beginning. Back in November, around the 23rd, I woke up with a terrible migraine, right? This migraine was like out of this world, dumb, ridiculous. No lights, no TV, no sound, no nothing. Turn it all off, let me sleep for the rest of my life. This migraine came with chills, but that was it. I just had chills and a migraine. So that started on November the 23rd. A few days after that, I had my period. So I was like, okay, maybe that was just part of my period. I kept doing some reading, looking into it, heard about something called period flu. I said, oh, okay, well, that's that. It lasted for about 4 or 5 days and then was gone. No other symptoms, no nothing, no extra. That was it. So during that week, of course, was Thanksgiving. I went over to my cousin's house with her and her partner, and then their kids. So a week goes by. Around the 3rd, which was like a Thursday, I believe. So December the 3rd, I went and got tested for COVID. I got my results back 2 days later on Saturday, and it came back positive. So I am currently COVID positive in my new apartment, which I basically moved into by myself. I did have my old roommates. They brought my other stuff from that apartment into this one and moved it in here. So they did that on their own. But everything else that I had that was living with me at the hotel I was renting was all by myself. So I moved it all by myself. That day was supposed to be my cousin's daughter's birthday party she was supposed to have like a sleepover hotel party where everybody was going to wear masks and gloves anyway just to be safe. But once I found out that I was COVID positive and I'd known that I was there with them when I was feeling sick-ish with the migraine and the chills, I of course called her and she canceled the party. So now I am waiting on the people that I did see to go get their testing done and get back to me with what their results are so that I can know whether or not I passed this on to anybody else. I am just a little bit confused by the whole thing because, with the CDC rules and all that, it says from 10 days after you first experience symptoms, which would be the 23rd, you should be no longer contagious and clear to go, right? Now, I would assume that means that my test would have come up negative, I guess. But it didn't. It came up positive. But then I read that coronavirus can stay in your system for up to 3 months. It may not be contagious, but it can stay in your system for up to 3 months. So that was nerve-wracking. But they did say it was a little odd that my test did show as so positive because of how, I guess, the test is. They were like, okay, are you sure that you actually contracted it back then? And the answer is no, I'm not sure, because I have no idea how I contracted it in the first place. No clue how it happened, no idea where it came from. I honestly don't know, because the week before Thanksgiving, we did have a group get together at a restaurant, but it wasn't that many people, And one person did say that she came into contact with somebody who did get COVID, but she didn't have it. When she got her test came back negative. So at this point, I'm very confused as to how I got it. Not too worried about it because I feel perfectly fine. Like, literally the only symptoms I had were migraine and chills. That was it. However, I am feeling very guilty and nervous and anxious about the results of other people. Because like I said, my cousin has kids. How is someone supposed to move past that fact? Like, obviously, it is my own fault for not feeling well and still going and hanging out with people. That is definitely my own fault. But how do you move past that? How do you stop feeling guilty? Even if nothing does happen, I'm still waiting on results. So let's say nobody else turns up COVID positive. That's fantastic. But even just if even one person does say they are also COVID positive, how do you deal with that when you move forward with the rest of your life? You know, how do you handle that? Like right now, I guess it's harder because I'm in it. It's literally like a thought that's constantly in my mind. But I'm having a very, very hard time figuring out how I'm supposed to cope with the knowledge that I gave someone COVID, potentially. Don't know yet, but waiting to find out. Like, how do I move past that information? Right now, I'm feeling like a real dick. Like, I'm feeling like I was selfish. I'm feeling like I was stupid, like I should have known better. I'm feeling like there's literally nothing I could do to make it better because you gave somebody a disease that's doing a lot of harm right now. Like, what do you do with that? I know, like, logically, it's not like I had herpes and gave somebody herpes. Like, you always pretty much know when you have herpes. Well, actually, I guess you actually don't really know because some people don't really observe the symptoms for a long time. But you know what I mean. Like, there are certain things where, like, you're constantly getting tested throughout the year that you're like, okay, well, there you go. But with COVID, it's literally, okay, well, do I go get tested? Do I not go get tested? Like, I took the should I get a test, like, should I get tested quiz online that they have. It told me not to go because all I had was migraines and chills. But at the same time, I feel like even if the test told me not to go, I should have still went. I hate that whole hindsight is 2020 thing. That's some bullshit. I need a rewind button. And I don't appreciate the fact that I don't have one. So that's how I'm feeling today. Just really trying to figure out how to move forward from this. Because there's nothing that you can say. Lord, heaven forbid, like, if one of the kids does contract COVID, what are you supposed to say to their parents? Like, what's your response to that? Nothing? Yeah, that sounds about right. So right now, just hoping and praying that none of the kids have it, none of the adults have it either. Honestly, just praying that it bypass everybody but me. I'm cool with that. I'm completely cool with that response. So just waiting on those results to see what happens. I'll update you guys next week. Nobody's watching this right now. It's still too early for all this, but I'll update whoever decides to watch this later on what happens. Let's see. Aside from that, like I said, I just got into a new apartment, so very happy with it. Currently a little frustrated because the water heater wasn't working. So I was running it, as you normally do when you get into a new apartment to make sure that the water is working properly. And a couple hours later, the tenants below me came knocking on my door and said that they had a flood in their bathroom because of my water. saying that evidently water was like pouring down out of their bathroom vent and onto them and onto their floor. So that was interesting. So now I'm in the apartment. I'm staying here, but I don't have any water. Like I can't use the water if it's just going to be flowing down onto somebody else. I've got COVID and I'm supposed to be quarantining, so I can't like leave to go stay somewhere else. Oh, and these hold on, y'all. These cool little heaters up here, they like kind of sort of work, but not really. Right now it is literally on 85. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Yeah, there you go. It's on 85, but it most assuredly feels like it is, oh, I don't know, 65. So I'm in here in my jammies and my foot socks and all that jazz with my multiple blankets and pillows trying to keep warm. Let me see what else has gone on. Last week I lost my job because of my internet connection. I had been using like a hotspot that you can get from your cell phone provider, and the download speed wasn't fast enough. So I had been trying to get internet, couldn't get internet where I was. I was out in Frederick, Maryland at a hotel, and evidently in Frederick, Maryland, there's not a lot of internet providers. So literally the only person that services Frederick is like Comcast, or at least this is what I hear, because nobody else was giving me any answers. So I contacted Comcast. They said, hey, if you go ahead and submit the application to have this location registered as a separate address that we can actually do something at, because it is part of a hotel, so it normally would have to be part of the hotel's Wi-Fi. You know, I had to do that. And they told me 7 days. Well, I told my employers this. They initially said, fine, that's, well and to do. Can't do anything about that at the moment. But once a couple of days passed, I was in training. So they were like, you know what, we don't have time for this. And that was that. So here I am currently applying to different positions, trying to find work. Just re-signed up for unemployment just to make sure everything is well and good, because I'm obviously in a new apartment, which I kind of sort of got specifically so that I would be able to work, because now I have internet and I have cable and all that jazz and an Ethernet cable. So yeah, lots of things going on, y'all. However, by the grace of God and my mother, I was able to get this apartment. So moving on from here, I will be able to go ahead and potentially get another remote job where I don't have to leave and I can, stay safe and keep other people safe, which is what I should have been doing before. But now I don't have to worry about that as much, about whether or not I'll be able to do it in the first place. Now I have the capability. So I'm out here looking. If y'all got jobs out here and you see this around this time, you go ahead and slide those in there for Jessica. Okay? Thank you. But otherwise, it's kind of crazy how everything else has fallen into place for me for this to even happen. Because like I said, everything was kind of like coming up poor. I was getting the bad hand. However, I kept pulling out these random wild cards from the deck. And I cannot say that it's anything other than, I don't know. I'm not a very religious person, but the way things have been falling into place feels like maybe it's the universe at work, maybe it's God at work, or maybe this is what I was supposed to have done all along. Maybe this was destiny. I was actually just talking to my former roommate about how it feels like I was supposed to be living on my own, but resisting, because I had lived with a couple other different people and it just kept not working. Like if I wasn't living with family, it was not working. And even when I was living with family, I still felt oddly surrounded but still alone, if you understand what that means. But I was just telling her, I feel like I was supposed to be on my own. And because I kept resisting, I kept running into all these different problems. And now that I've taken the leap, even though I'm not where I thought I was supposed to be in a perfect place to have the perfect things go on, I still got a really amazing apartment for a relatively low price. I mean, this is downtown Baltimore at $1,000 a month. Like, I have exposed brick in my dining room. I have it's not a real fireplace, but it's a fireplace. This is technically 2 bedrooms for $1,000 a month in downtown Baltimore. Like, that doesn't normally happen. You don't find that every day. So I feel like something was supposed to happen a long time ago, and because I was resisting, I wasn't getting to where I needed to be. So now that I've taken this leap, it kind of doesn't give me any other choice but to do what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't give me any other option than to succeed. Failure isn't an option here for me at this point, or at least that's how I see it personally. Again, this is a page about Jessica, okay? So what I say only applies to me, y'all. I'm not telling nobody to do anything crazy like I am. Don't do that. Don't be like Jessica. Be better than Jessica. That's gonna be a thing. Be better than Jessica, okay? But I just feel like this is what I was supposed to have done a long time ago. And now I'm finally doing it, and that's why things are going wellish. I mean, I know from the start of this video it didn't sound like it was going wellish, but it actually is kind of going wellish. Like, literally, earlier in the week when I was moving, I had no money to pay my old roommates to bring the stuff in for me. I had no intention of doing that because I thought I'd have, people to help me bring it in because I didn't think I'd have COVID. So I didn't have like a whole bunch of extra money just sitting around waiting for me to be able to use it to purchase cleaning supplies for the apartment or to purchase them hauling the things in here for me. I didn't have that. And then all of a sudden, here comes money from unemployment that I hadn't, filed a claim for. I think it's because they closed out my unemployment originally at that point. It was like closed, inactive, and they were just like paying out the rest of whatever was left over on the balance. But I hadn't filed for it. And it just kind of showed up right at the moment that I knew I was going to need it. Like, literally the morning that I found out that I had COVID is the same morning that money showed up. And I said, oh, okay, this is literally a problem shows up and then the solution is right behind it. It is quite creepy how many times that has happened literally in the last week. Like, no lie. Within the last week, about 5 different times, I have seen that same thing happen. A problem pops up, a solution is immediately given to me, and then I'm back on track. It is really, really weird. And, they say that sometimes it's luck. This doesn't feel like luck. This feels like something that was supposed to be. It feels like, okay, life wants to take me one way, but the universe is moving me back on track. That's how this feels. And while there are some things in this world right now that are like iffy for me and confusing on emotional and spiritual levels and all that, right now I am certain that this was supposed to happen and this was the right move and what I was supposed to do. So while I am feeling very stressed out, very anxious, and very worried for my family and what I could have caused, that is something that I think is separate from what is happening right now when it comes to like the apartment and how I'm getting my life back on track. This feels right for me. That I'm really hoping will work out all in all in the end. I really don't think I could handle it if I gave a child COVID. I don't think I could do it. I don't know what I would do. I really don't, because at that point, I'm gonna really need a therapist because I don't know how one copes with that information. There's obviously people out here, like earlier on when this all started, perfectly makes sense. Like, nobody really knew what to do. Nobody knew how to handle this. It was bonkers. So, like, you can't really be like, oh, well, you should have done... It was too early for that. Now, it is not too early for that. I should have known better. And there's no excuses. So, don't know how I'm going to deal with that. So, I hope that anybody who sees this takes a moment to pray for my family. Just to make sure that they're okay and that they're fine. I'm going to be doing a lot of praying over the next couple of days, too. To whoever you decide to pray to, or whatever you decide to pray to, or if you just like to put energy out into the atmosphere, whatever you choose to do in my favor, in my family's favor, I would appreciate. So, all right, guys, it's been about 20 minutes now. This is a lot longer than the last episode. I went over a bit more. Thanks for letting me talk and get this out. I appreciate you watching if you do watch. If you don't watch, well, then I'll see you in the future when you do watch. But forget about this pimple on my forehead, and bye.